Video and audio, yeah.
No, I probably shouldn't eat my oats then.
No, you can eat them. I'm going to probably eat some food as we go anyway. You know, when you're getting massive.
Getting. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Uh,
Like,
like,
You know what? The bag is actually quite heavy.
how heavy was it?
Like maybe 2.5 kilos.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you're out the gym, mate.
I know, mate. So,
it gains, bro.
for doing that Eric back program,
Yeah.
it was like, you might not want to do this more than 4 to 6 weeks because your shoulders are going to be battered from the pressing. I was like, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, I can do that. Second week in, I can't do it anymore.
Pressing do you do it?
To get your face close, there we go.
So what pressing do you do in it?
Well, it's primarily, you do horizontal pressing one day, vertical pressing another day, and then you do like a maintenance for the legs, which, let's face it, for me is a wildly inappropriate workout. And then, I mean, look, they should definitely be the focus. But you do a lot of vertical pressing and stuff, and the bloke was like, it's a kind of a specialization and stuff, so you want to run it 4 to 6 weeks as a block in the middle of your training.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pressing, fucking hell.
So we do have Michelle joining us, but she's currently making lunch.
Every time, regardless of the time, every time we have a video podcast, Michelle is eating.
Because
it's a good time, mate, because we're all sat down, so we can start having a bit of food.
no, let's be honest, Michelle adds extreme value to our podcast, but I think she thinks we're a bunch of jokers. So,
Well, I thought the topic for today would be a bit of, sort of self-discovery through self-discipline, something that I think a lot of people are having to employ at the moment to stay productive at home, something we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just going through some elements of what a bit of self-discipline might look like. Is it overrated? And subsequently, what the potential benefits are as far as discovering, what you're capable of and what you enjoy and what you want to do that come off the back of that sort of a bit of self-discipline. So I've made some notes, like the first time ever.
Too much time on your hands.
some notes, Christ.
Yeah, so it's more things like kind of for setting up a bit of self-discipline. You kind of want to have that need or desire to improve something in your life, whatever aspect that may be. And from our point of view, that would evidently be your health and fitness, or at least the most applicable. And that kind of translates into what you eat and how you train. So I didn't know what you guys thought about how, like, what your experiences of being a bit more disciplined at home. Obviously, Rhys, you talking about your training at home. You got a fairly hard workout on the books today. And obviously maintaining a fairly healthy eating routine, how that benefits you.
I think it's mainly mentally at the moment, because the whole structure of our days has completely changed now. So it's although we're doing quite a bit online, it's enabling us, or me particularly at this moment in time, to still have a big focus. So maintaining that healthy lifestyle. So exercise wise, you're going to release the endorphins, you're going to get a bit of a buzz from your training, and most of all, you're going to keep fit as well at the same time, if not get a little bit fitter. It's not something that I would primarily focus on if I was just in the gym. So normally, the focus is go in and lifting heavy weights, getting a little bit stronger, a bit of hypertrophy, that type of thing. This has given me a time to work on different focuses, so things like mobility, little imbalances in the body, and particularly like that sort of longer endurance fitness, which is normally neglected. So it's given me a chance to actually, firstly, change my approach to training, and secondly, make sure that I'm still on the straight and narrow in terms of mentally and being productive throughout my day.
Well, obviously you've been doing the group training in the absence of a live session. You've been doing it online, so you've been getting up at 6:30 3 days a week. How has that been?
It's so tired, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's really bright where I am, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You look quite. Your skin has a healthy glow.
Well, a healthy white, yeah. No, it's been fine. So we're doing obviously our schedule for the men's and the women's group training, which is one of our most popular services, hasn't changed. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, women, mornings and evenings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, men, and mornings and evenings. And I think when this first happened over a week ago, we had a quick discussion, and we didn't want to change anything for the guys and girls. We wanted to keep that routine going. So it's the same time, same same place really, albeit from your bedroom now, or your living room. So because of many different reasons, I've been doing the morning group, and out of probably, well, there's normally 15 to 17 guys in a session, so we've been having probably 13 guys doing it in the morning at 6:30, which I think is a great commitment, considering, you know, they don't have to get up early. Most of these guys are working from home now, if not all of them. And the ones that can't make it, there's, you know, various reasons. Look, it is an issue. The problem with online training, one of the problems is that if you do have children, a lot of these times of online training happens during kids waking up, kids going to bed. That's the only issue. But yeah, I've actually really enjoyed it because the guys are liking it. It's a different style of training. The women are liking it. That Michelle's doing different styles of training. But for us, like you touched on, Rhys, is we didn't want to change people's routine. Because I think as soon as someone doesn't necessarily have an alarm clock, for example, your day can either drag and you just don't seem to have any purpose. If you just try and achieve one thing a day, and obviously we're going to promote exercise because that's the thing that we believe in, probably more than most things. If you just, you know, get up every day at your normal time, go out for a walk straight away, and then do that for a week and then carry it on, I think you're just going to feel 10 times better. And I'm one of these people in particular who, if have no schedule, I'm a nightmare. Michelle will tell you. I doss around the house, I mope around, I annoy her, that's for sure. Because, you know, I've been on all, it's like when you go on all-inclusive holiday, I don't know what, people who are active, when I've been on a couple of all-inclusive holidays, when I'm there, I literally am, after sunbathing for half an hour, I want to go and do something.
Yeah. I think routine, maintaining a routine anchors your discipline, because it's like whatever else you've got going on, you've got that's taken care of. Whether it's how early you get up, whatever it is, if you've got just one thing a day you do, if that's the routine, that anchors everything, and everything else can come off the back of that. And I think it's just getting around to the idea that you actually you deserve to have kind of the things you seek to gain by changing your routine. So you deserve to have a healthy body. You deserve to be fit and healthy by not eating junk and moving a bit more. So I think maintaining the times for the group training for our clients is probably really important, because you start messing with that routine, and as creatures of habit, you have no idea what else that's going to throw out.
Exactly. And, you know, I probably would, in my opinion, and maybe echoed by some of you guys here as well, is that at this moment in time, there is less distractions than ever before, ever since I've been alive, or especially since 2000 plus, since technology has just gone leaps and bounds with social media. And, you know, you can always interact with someone on social media. You can always find out about other people's lives with social media. And sometimes you can get FOMO or whatever. But at the moment, everyone is staying in the world, not just in England, in the world. Everyone is staying indoors. So the distractions, if you want to focus on having a productive routine, getting a little bit healthy or whatever, in my opinion, it's a great time to do it, because you have less distractions. You know, there's no reason why you can't aim to eat healthy. There's no reason why you can't do a little bit more exercise. And exactly that. I think we touched on it before. Famous quote that's been said by, I don't know who said it, but it was, structure brings freedom. And that's so true. You know, we waste time when we have no structure.
I'm just relocating because the signal's a little bit dodgy.
So
but yeah, no, I completely agree. So if you're, let's say someone wants to be a bit more disciplined, and you know, you could argue sometimes it's kind of overhyped a lot on social media, to the point where people probably they kind of overemphasize the importance of it. But it's little things. So you kind of breaking down your goal into long-term and short-term goals. How would you go about doing that? Like, what would the time frames be?
When obviously we're doing this now.
Yeah. So let's say you think, right, I want to get my health and nutrition on track.
Yeah.
I'm at home. I don't really know what I'm doing. If you were going to offer advice as far as setting someone up for success with their new routine, how would you structure their goals? How would you timeline it?
Yeah, so obviously long-term ambition you'd be looking at something as a minimum of sort of 12 weeks. So you'd be looking from kicking off with us. So for instance, if you were to come in on the group training, you wouldn't necessarily look at, you know, you obviously will improve in that time, but you would measure it probably at the end of that 12 weeks. So that is physiologically and, you know, aesthetically when you start to notice changes. And other people will start to notice them before yourselves, obviously, because you're looking at yourself every day and things like that. So first and foremost, you'd set your long-term goal for about 12 weeks time, and then see what that is there. And then you would break that down into smaller, sort of more manageable goals. So I like to call them process goals, which is how you go about obviously achieving the small wins week to week. So for instance, Tom, I know with you on the body composition camp and things like that, when you check in regularly with guys, that's once a week. So you can have a look at what the people are doing. So say, for instance, if you had a format where you were tracking people's calories and macros, just for instance, let's say that, for instance sake, in this time, or you were saying to them, right, I want you to look at having this many glasses of water per day or something like that. You could then manage that across the course of the week, and then say, right, did you manage to implement that last week? And then what are you taking forward into this week? So you can reflect on the previous week, what you've done, and then actually set more process goals for the next week, which are going to help get you towards that long-term goal. So it's almost about the process goals of trying to ingrain good habits. And I think now is, like we just touched on there, is the perfect time to do it, because people do have more time. So if you're looking at nutrition, things like that, if you're not too sure about where to start, or, you know, what types of foods you should be eating, it's playing around with meal ideas, what's going to be quick, what's going to be easy, what's going to be nutrient dense for when, you know, you come back to day-to-day life and you don't have 2 seconds to sit down and sort of think about these things. If you can get those processes in place now, that's going to help you in the long term. So over the next 12 weeks, it's probably a good idea for people to set aside and try and start to think about things like that.
Yeah, I think an easy way to do it, if they're not, let's say, a complete beginner, is instead of trying to change everything all at once, because I think we've seen that loads of times, it just doesn't work. You think, right, in 12 weeks time, in 6 months time, I want to be fit, healthy, eating better, and as a result enjoy the benefits physiologically of what those things might do. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. You're not doing anything now. Let's just start trying moving 3 times a week for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, doing like some basic bodyweight circuit. We're given the example of people being at home, and then go out for a walk every single day, and kind of just focus on that for the first week, and just carry on. As far as food goes, just the only thing I would recommend changing initially is just drinking loads more water. Do that for a week or two. When that start to form some habits, then start maybe changing your breakfast first, and then change your lunch, and then change your dinner. But stagger it so it doesn't become so overwhelming and the task doesn't feel so horrible. Because I think when you change everything at once, I mean, it's like being comfortable, being uncomfortable. No one likes being outside their comfort zones. And so if you haven't exercised for a long time and you do a 20-minute bodyweight circuit, you're going to feel awful, horrendous. Like the guys in the group training have said they haven't ached like this in months, you know. And if you follow that up with someone who's new and they've just done a 20-minute circuit, okay, they're tired, they're feeling exhausted, their throat's hoarse, and then you throw at them a clean, healthy, arguably flavor-free meal, they're going to be pissed off and feel this healthy stuff is shit. If they train and then they just eat normally, then there's kind of that little bit of balance, and it's building in that balance and just ever so slightly changing the scales over the course of 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever. So you don't change everything at once. Just start exercising first, I would say, because that will make you feel better instantly.
Yeah.
And after a few weeks of that, you'll naturally gravitate toward healthier choices for food. And that's how you kind of break down your long-term goal into your short-term goal. So after 2 weeks, I want a fairly consistent routine of exercise that I know what I'm doing, fairly simple, but I know I can do it at these times. And then in between, I'll go for a walk with my dog or the family, whatever. And then after 2 weeks, I'm going to start looking at what I have for breakfast. And then after that, after a week or two, I'm going to start looking at what I have for lunch and then dinner, and everything just starts being pieced together. All the while, you're building healthy habits of training, drinking more water, eating breakfast, eating lunch, eating dinner, and it just sort of all rolls into one. Now, I know it's not as easy as that. It's not as linear as that. It's just going to fall into place like that. But I think if you break it down to smaller bite-sized chunks, it's going to be slightly easier to achieve your long-term, end-term goal of feeling better, looking better, and being healthier.
Well, and also people then start to have those things in their mind. So say, for instance, if you were like, right, I want you to look at your water intake this week, that's going to be one of the things. So your hydration levels. Although at week 1, they might do it really well, and then week 2, they might drop off slowly or slightly. You know, the weeks in coming after that, they're going to have that in the back of their mind. So hydration, so that little win that you talked about. So say, for instance, taking that water bottle around with them, just having that filled up, it will start to form a habit, and you will then start to have those little pieces of information in the back of your mind, which I think are really, really vital. So like you say, it's not completely linear, but they will have that in the back of their mind. And that is when you start to pick up more healthy habits rather than unhealthy habits.
Yeah, I think we're inherently pleasure-seeking creatures, aren't we? So if you put anything as a short-term goal that's not going to give you an immediate rush or an immediate pleasure, you're not going to stick to it. That's why exercise would be the key for me. I mean, if you do a workout and you feel good, that's going to be the pleasure response that you're seeking. If you don't have those immediate wins, immediate pleasures, like you're human, chances are you're not going to stick to the routine because you'll feel like it's a penance for us. I mean, how many times, Nath, do you hear that people make out that getting fit and healthy is basically punishment?
Yeah, well, I think when people say that, it's a very short-sighted, and really it's just people just don't understand. Obviously, everyone's into different things. People derive pleasure from a multitude of different things in life. Don't get me wrong, but I've not met many people who do a bit of exercise, whatever that may be, and notice the benefits quite quickly in terms of their sleep, their appetite, just everything from their general day-to-day energy, and not feel better for it. So, if you think living a healthy life is boring, then you've obviously never heard of the internet and you've never heard of how to research anything, because there's so much stuff out there now. Like, we live in a perfect time to get a good understanding of just basic nutrition. And like you said, Tom, or you, Rhys, you don't have to be strict 24/7. It's not about being strict. If I go out for a meal, I'll eat whatever the hell I want. Like, I won't care what I eat. All I know is that I generally eat healthy compared to the average, because it makes me feel good. I sleep better. I have more energy to do the things I want to do, and it's not a detrimental impact. Doesn't have any detrimental impact on my life. That when I go the opposite way, and am living an unhealthier life, drinking a bit more, eating a bit more, like we all have periods, like Christmas is a prime example. I can't wait to get back on the norm, because I generally feel much better.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, if you've got your long-term, like I said, you've got your long-term goal, you've got your short-term goal, and how you go about doing it, you've got to build in tracking, whatever metric that may be. So, like Nate said, the sleep thing, you don't want to get 4, 5, 6 weeks in and think, right, I've met the initial rush of exercising, that's gone. I'm about 6 weeks out from my first long-term goal. I'm losing a little bit of focus because I'm not having the same kind of rush of endorphins that I did when I first started exercising. What other metrics can I track to remind me that this is going in the right direction? Sleep. Oh yeah, I'm sleeping much better. I'm waking up early and feeling refreshed. My skin's clearer. I'm more balanced with mood. I have less, I'm less prone to bouts of depression or anger, or anxiety, whatever it may be. Others are noticing changes in me, because you won't notice me if you're looking at yourself every day. So it's kind of building in those checks, those mediators during that middle part of this process to keep you on the straight and narrow. Because like on the nutrition plan, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, people lose a load of weight and they feel great, and then they plateau. I would say after about 4 weeks, there's a general delay where changes don't come anywhere as quickly, and they just need to look at, okay, I'm not losing any weight, but instead of getting kind of demoralized by it or derailed by it, what are the metrics that are happening naturally that you haven't really thought about that are worth tracking and checking in on? Because sleep is a massive one. Like, when I think there's a few people in group training, I know, like Rupert and a few others, and Lee's on the body composition stuff, they were saying that one of the things they just didn't anticipate improving was sleep. Yeah,
No, exactly. It's the small things that people don't underestimate. But I just think if you're hearing messages from people saying this isn't a good time to focus on your health and fitness, obviously it's stressful, just relax and enjoy. Everyone's within their own rights to say what they want to say, but these people obviously have their own opinions and their own agenda on
they project.
What other people should be doing. I personally, again, I'm not right, this is just my opinion, I personally think we all could probably do a bit more exercise than the average, because we generally have more time. We can maybe go to bed a little bit earlier and get up a little bit earlier because we have more time.
Well, actually, those people, that kind of brings you on to the last element of trying to create a bit of self discipline, is that those people present obstacles to your goals, because they just provide your kind of subconscious brain with a little excuse that it's been looking for, because we don't like being uncomfortable. We like the easy choice, really. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the easy choice is not always the right choice. And if you're looking at long-term progress, you're making a snap decision at the moment just to please yourself, I would say it's probably not the right one. But if you've got people in your ear saying, no, do this, be fine, don't worry about it, don't focus on it yet, it doesn't help. Those are obstacles. And so you've just got to kind of refrain from giving into that in my opinion, it's complete nonsense attitude that you can't be fit and healthy under lockdown. Now that the shops are restocked and things are more controlled and you can actually go out and exercise, the only time you can leave your house is to walk the dog or exercise. Like, there is no excuse not to stay fit and healthy. When you're indoors, you've got all the time in the world to cook your food.
Yeah.
Prep your food. There is no excuse. I don't want to hear that anymore from.
And if people are anxious or stressed or worried or things like that, going out and getting an endorphin high is going to help. It's going to help you to clear your mind and to, you know, rid some of that anxiety or a little bit of stress, even if it's just short term for the time being. But it will tie you over enough until the next day where you can do a little bit more exercise. And I think it's really important that people are doing it. And there was a study that came up today, and it was talking about you know, muscle loss and things like that, and, you know, lack of fitness and things like that, and how quickly people sort of regress or lose that ability. So they're saying little and often, as much as you can, just getting up, walking around in the house, whether that is doing a little bit of exercise, and making sure that you get out and do that exercise to preserve either what you have or to make developments in towards your end goal.
Definitely. The frustrating thing with that attitude that other trainers have is the fact that people who never really exercise and don't really take their health seriously are kind of becoming a bit awake to the fact that they need to improve it. And so they're thinking, oh God, I can't leave the house now except for exercise. I'm probably going to go out for a walk every day. Yeah. The last thing they need to hear, if they're starting to make some decent changes, the last thing they need to hear is, oh, don't worry about it. You can't get in shape anymore. You can't get healthy. Just sack it off and start when this whole process comes down. These people inherently struggle with that whole mentality of, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start Monday. So if they're told, don't worry about it, start when the lockdown finishes, they're wasting a huge opportunity to get healthy. And it really, really pisses me off.
And also as well, that's obviously talking about the physical thing, but you know, you can read up probably 1,000 studies that show you that moving, being active, aiming to be healthy, eating a little bit better, exercise improves your state of well-being anyway, which is that's more important than anything else, really.
We'll get Annette on here at some point, but Annette made some really good points. We obviously recorded one episode the other day, the technical faults, but Annette, who teaches our yoga and will probably be a much bigger part of SBC in the future because she does work at the care home. You know, she made some great points about the benefits of doing yoga just from a meditative mindfulness point of view. And she's got loads of tips and tricks and anecdotes and examples of people who have done those 5-minute mind meditations. They've done the yoga and their clarity of thought has improved, their mood's improved, and they just feel more calm. And when you're more calm, you're in a better position to deal with things like good choices, bad choices. And then it just reinforces it. So if you're eating healthy food all the time and you're doing mindfulness, chances are you're physiologically and biologically set up to deal with adversity in a much better way.
And you know, and current climate, if you're doing all that stuff, if you do unfortunately get COVID-19, as we don't know, no one knows how they're going to react, you're probably going to overcome that illness a lot better than someone who isn't doing those things.
Yeah, definitely. And those are kind of the things. I mean, in conclusion, the discipline is the best way to do it. I don't think it comes naturally to people, if I'm honest. I think the way we're set up, the way society is set up, is to you kind of outsource your discipline to excuses, basically. But I think if you can build some discipline, build some routines, set some goals, set some short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, some checks and balances in place to make sure that when certain things initially have their flash in the pan results, you've got something else to track to improve, to show you're improving. What would be the long-term benefits then, as far as finding out a bit more about yourself from these kind of disciplines?
Well, I just want to touch on the point that you made there, just quickly, in terms of sort of the quick fix type thing. Now really isn't the time to be doing the quick fix type of thing. So going on crash diets or anything like that, because like Nath was saying, if you are to get something, you need your immune system to be high. So that's filling yourself with nutrient dense foods, doing the right type of exercise that will get you the endorphin high that you need. That'll help to boost your immunity as well. You know, I feel like that's really important, just to add on to what you said there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's common sense that it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just common sense. And of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you obviously know who we are and you know what we stand for. And the whole point of us is just improving people's health. We have people from all different walks of life. We don't have people at SBC who are ripped and ready for a stage. All our people are general pop, so just average guys, own businesses, self-employed, employed, whatever, who all have slightly similar, but also slightly different needs. And basically it all comes down to two things. And normally one of them is time, and the other one is not knowing what to do. At the moment, we've got a lot of the first one, time, definitely. And at the moment, if you're struggling what to do, the resources are unbelievable. We're farming out posts every single day on mindfulness, on there's a workout program coming out this week for men. There's going to be a workout program coming next week for women. These are all free resources. This is just our website. It's not bigging ourselves up. You just type in home workout into Google and let's see how many hits you get. So those two things, guys, I think if you listen to this now and you are struggling a little bit with motivation, it's just about starting. You start, you give you a massive kick up the arse. I mean, like Tom said, we don't necessarily want to do the things that we should be doing, and we get the exact same feeling. We're not saying that we're any different from any of you. I went out for a run this morning after the men's group, and I could not be asked, but I made myself do it, did it, feel much better afterwards. So we get the exact same feelings. It's just about that little devil on your shoulder, flicking it off, carrying on, having a plan, writing things down, and making yourself accountable to you. And if you can't make yourself accountable, that's when you look to the help of people like ourselves in the long run who can give you that nudge. And that's why there are personal training businesses like us, because these people know they're not necessarily motivated themselves, and left to their own devices, they won't do very well. So just having that little nudge on their shoulder, that positive, positive reinforcement, whatever you want to call it, people respond differently. It keeps them on the straight and narrow. So I think,
I think I made some kind of just some bullet points on what the benefits if you do kind of get this right and you can make a habit of these disciplines. What may come as a result of it? What kind of potential benefits? I think the first one that we see a lot of is if you get this right, one of the first things to change in terms of attitude is you go from kind of being that suffering to strength, kind of I'm the victim mentality. That tends to go because you realise that there's just excuses that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
And that I think is really important because I think that's what the majority of people suffer with when it comes to changing anything about their life that they don't necessarily like now, whether it's their job, their body, their health, whatever. And again, like Nate said, guilty of this as well, but you just kind of straight away your mentality is I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's different for me. It's more complicated for me. It's more scientific and blah, 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 blah. And I think when you stick to these routines and you realize that actually the majority of the success that you want and the majority of the change that you want actually comes through consistent hard work, you realize that actually most things within your control and you shift your mentality away from that mindset of being the victim.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think that's probably boxed off, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you box it off, you turn negatives into positives, you kind of, and then you shift the energy that you've got into a more productive manner. And then you kind of be a bit unashamedly potent about who you are. People tend to recognize changes, but you've just got to be confident and stick with it, saying, yeah, this is what I do now. This is how I am. This is what I want to be. This is the kind of person I want to be for myself.
Yeah.
And the energy you give off is quite motivating, quite inspiring. You see it in group training. You see it in PT clients as well.
Yeah, but that's why the group training structure works so well, because you start to surround yourselves with like-minded people. So whether it's like even at the moment on the online platform, when you see the amount of people that are checking in, like session on session, you start to get a little bit of a buzz and think, well, I'm not going to miss it tonight because there's that many people that are going to go in and make sure that they're doing it. And it's about going in and getting it done, and that in itself will help you to build a better routine.
Yeah, and then you become a bit more self-aware. So you kind of become a bit more aware of what triggers you, emotionally, nutritionally, and then you can kind of be aware of that, detach yourself from it, and realize that those things don't hold as much sway and as much importance in your life anymore. And then they end up having less. You have more agency over your own actions, basically. Because I think I've said this before. I honestly think, and it sounds silly, but if you do control what you eat and you do control what you drink on a consistent basis, everything else becomes easy. Every other major decision that you have to do that involves you giving into your taste, or regardless of whether that food or whatever, or everything becomes easier.
Yeah,
I think that's the hardest thing to overcome for most people these days, is just what they put in their body. And if they can get a handle on that, decisions regarding their lives, their futures, their careers, tough decisions don't seem as tough.
Well, it's that thing we go back to as well. When we see people who are trying to embark on changing a sort of nutritional lifestyle and that type of thing, people allow themselves to get into a reactive state. So they allow themselves to get hungry in the first place before they then decide on what to eat. And everyone knows, if you've ever gone shopping when you're hungry, you know exactly what it's like. You'll come out with twice the amount of food that you wanted to actually buy for the week. And you know, a lot of it is that instant quick hit energy release. So that might be high in sugar, or, you know, dosed in high in saturated fats and things like that, to give you that quick buzz, give you that quick energy. Now is the perfect time to stop yourself getting into that reactive state. So making sure that you plan out your meals because you have time. You can feed yourself regularly so your blood sugars stay stable throughout the day. And that in itself will help with clarity and, you know, with productivity throughout the day. You keep your blood sugars nice and stable, you're then going to feel energized, and you're going to be more likely to give yourself a little workout and a bit more of an endorphin buzz as well. So those things are really important.
A classic example of someone not doing that, right? Last night, I was up much later than I probably should have been.
Yeah.
And I'd had dinner and I was, you know, a little bit peckish. And I thought I'd just go to bed, because when you wake up in the morning, you'd be happy you didn't indulge your cravings now, and you'll feel good. So I went downstairs and had a big bowl of cereal and an entire pizza.
There you go.
Now, admittedly, I passed out and fell asleep like a log. When I woke up this morning, I felt groggy as shit. So yeah, it happened. Because I was up late, I was doing work, and I was like, I should have just clocked off and gone to bed and prioritised, but I didn't. And as a result, funny enough, it's the first day in this quarantine, first day where my routine, my day has shifted along by about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it really is getting under my skin. It annoys me. I'm a little bit behind now on everything else I'm doing, and it really annoys me. So I would have trained already this morning. I've got to train this afternoon. I've got some more work to do. I had a conference call I didn't prepare for. And just stuff I should have done. And it was all because I made a stupid decision the night before.
It's like, it's funny though, isn't it? Because you put up that blog post and that video about developing a routine and how to go about doing it. And the first thing is to make a list and to go about what you're doing. And the last couple of days, I've found myself like you. So in that situation where I've had the stuff in my mind, I know what I've needed to get done. I've been adopting a few different things because it is slightly different, but I haven't quite done it. Well, I've normally done half or three quarters. Whereas last night I sat down and it was about 10:15 and I went through exactly right. I'm getting up at this time, hot water and lemon, do your mobility circuit, breakfast, out for a 20-minute walk, off. And actually my day today has been far, far, far more productive than it has over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
That satisfaction of ticking things off as you go through it's really nice. It gives you that sense of accomplishment that you want.
No one's perfect. Like it's kind of said it before. It's kind of chasing tenacity, not perfection, because it's not going to be perfect. You are going to cock up. You are going to make mistakes. But instead of giving into it and going, oh, I've cocked this up, so I might as well, in for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to go and eat 28 donuts. I'm going to actually try and get back on track and salvage what part of the day I've got left. And in the evening, I'm going to make sure I didn't make the same mistake like before. Then the following days will be better and better and better. But yeah, I had a whiteboard this morning that I listed everything I needed to do last night. And I woke up this morning, I had to change it straight away because I was 2 hours behind. But, tomorrow will be different, in theory. If you hear me tomorrow going, fellas, happen again.
I think everyone's training hard though at the moment. Well, from the sounds of things, like on our group chats and stuff, people are trying to adapt to the training and embracing it with welcome arms, really. So trying to get out even just for the walk, and then doing their home workouts as well. And some home workouts they're pretty brutal as well, because it's a change. It's gone from doing what we're doing with resistance training, mixing it up a little bit more with bodyweight stuff. People are feeling it. As you would, because it's a new type of training.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the programs you got coming out?
Yes, so we have the Bodyweight Beast is the actively named program, which is coming out. It should be out by the end of this week, so this podcast will be going out in the next couple of days. So if it's not out by then, it will be out. It's a 4-week program. Summarizing it quickly, it's all body weight. There is a couple of exercises in there that you will probably need some external weight, but I give you examples of shopping bags and tins in the shopping bags if you've got nothing to hold on to, so it's quite easy. We've had a couple of our team and some members trial it, and the feedback's been really, really good so far. And cut a long story short, it's progressive. So the problem is with the problem with home workouts is that people tend to just do the same workout time and time again. So this program kind of progresses throughout the reps and the sets, and won't go into too much detail, but you're basically going to be holding positions and then going into a movement that works the same muscle group. So it's going to be very muscle fatiguing. It's probably a bit more focused around those looking to maintain or develop some muscle mass other than just doing conditioning all the time. And then following on from that, there will be a women's version. Even though the bodyweight beast can be used for male and female, the exercises are probably a little bit more towards what a man would generally train. So there is going to be a specific women's one coming out next week once we finish filming the videos this weekend. So they will be completely free. It's a simple email sign up. You get sent a link, download it, PDF, save it on however you like. And you can repeat that after 4 weeks if you want to, and maybe increase the intensity. But hopefully in 4 weeks' time, well, maybe not, but we might have a slightly different level of isolation, so who knows. But it definitely holds you in good stead for the next month.
I think
it's just a fallback plan you can always do at home anyway. And you said you might hold a Q&A for questions on the program and questions about exercising on it and things like that and alternatives, etc., etc.
Yeah, so the advice is there's videos with every exercise. There's on the blog post that you'll see when you click on the link, there is a overview video that's quite important to watch. And then going forward, any questions, take a picture of yourself doing it or take a picture of the program, and then tag our SBC_training handle on Instagram, if you've got Instagram, or Facebook, where Sussex Performance Centre, and we will respond with your question answers. That's the easiest way to get hold of us, unless you are a direct SBC member and you have our details.
Cool. So I've got a bit of conclude, but any other comments, gents, on this? Or
I just think that bodyweight program's really good because, like you touched on there, the periodization, so you're actually progressing week on week. I think at the moment, yeah, it's great if people are training. That's what we're promoting, get in there, but if people want to try and keep improving, keep developing, they need to have that measure of where they are and how they're moving week on week. So for anyone who's lacking a little bit of structure to their training, absolutely perfect, spot on.
Yeah, and as far as the everything else is kind of like, just in summary, build some kind of boundaries and some disciplines into your life. Start slow, set some good achievable long-term goals, build in some short-term goals, which obviously we can help you with if you're struggling with that. And then just enjoy the process, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and just start resetting what you think you're capable of. And I think when it's like one of those things where, like a bungee jump, where you get the courage to do something once you've done it. And I think the same thing goes for changing anything in your life. Once you've done it, it resets your kind of barometer for success. And now I know I can do that. That's no longer an issue. Getting there is no longer an issue. Going out for a 10K, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to do a 15K. Well, I've done that. I feel like crap, I'm quite tired, but now I know I can do that. So what's the next milestone? So I think there are loads of benefits from doing it. So set some disciplines.
Definitely.
Boom.
Boom. All right, fellas.